Hilchos Nezirus Perek Chamishi, the laws of the Nazir, chapter 5. Until now, we're talking about how to create the vow, or what the vow basically contains. Starting today, we're going to get into the details of the Isurei Nazir, the prohibitions of the Nazir. Specifically, the Rambam says, Halacha Aleph, Shleisha Minin Asurin La Nazir. There are three types of things that are forbidden to a Nazir. Hatuma, V'hatiglachas, V'hayotze min hagefen. To become impure to dead bodies, shaving his hair, and anything which comes out of the vine. And the Rambam is going to define them in the opposite order. So we're going to spend the first part of the chapter about things that come out of the vine, then we're going to get into haircuts, and then we're going to get into impurity, which is going to continue also into future chapters. So the Rambam begins with the things that come from a vine. What exactly is forbidden? Bein pri, bein pseilas pri. It includes the fruit itself, grapes, or the waste of the fruit, the garbage of the fruit, like we'll soon see the peels or the seeds. Aval hasheicher shel tamarim shel gregris v'chayetze bahen. But beer made out of dates or made out of dried figs, like you have even today, they call this date ale, or fig and raisin. It's a kind of a beer, basically. The point is, it doesn't come from a grape. Mutar la nazir. That's permitted to the nazir. V'sheicher zeh shenestar alav b'Torah hu hasheicher shel tarei v'sayayin. When the Torah says sheicher, we're going to see more in detail later, but I'll just show you the verse right now. It says in the Torah, miyayin v'sheichar yazir. He needs to separate himself from wine and from beer. So this beer needs to come from wine. It's not any beer. Beer from figs, beer from dates, that's okay. The sheichar, which is forbidden in the Torah, is only the sheichar that has a mixture of wine in it. So now let's get involved in the details about the grapes. Hayotze min hagefen ketzad. What does it mean that things that come out of the grape is forbidden to a nazir? Nazir she'achal kezayis min hapri shehu anavim lachim or yeveshim. A nazir eats a kezayis, an olive-sized portion from the actual fruit. Fresh grapes, like over here in the top corner, or raisins, like over here. These are dried grapes, but they're still grapes. Oy boiser, or unripe grapes. That's like grapes in a later stage, but they're still not fully ready to eat. Or he ate an olive-sized portion from the waste of the fruit, shehi hazagin, which are called in the Torah zag, and zag means the peel. So this one over here, grape peels. Or what Torah calls chartzan, maza chartzan, vehem hazagin hapnimin, exactly, shazayir naisam, the seeds that are on the inside, which you actually replant, like this. This is grape seeds. Today we almost don't see it because usually you buy in the supermarket seedless grapes, right? But if you buy regular grapes with seeds, so you're going to see inside the grapes there's a bunch of seeds, and even though it's not part of the fruit itself, but if the nazir eats it, hareza loike, he gets lashes. V'chenim shasar revius yayin. And the truth is, not only the fruit. If you drink a revius, it's about 3 ounces of wine, or you ate an olive-sized portion of congealed wine, shehu apri, which basically counts as the fruit, counts as a grape, or even if you drink a revius, a quarter of a log of vinegar, shehu pseilas apri, it's also considered the waste of the fruit. Hareza leika, you get lashes. Aval ha'olin, but leaves of the grapes, the halulavin, or little shoots, little branches of the grapevine, umei gefanim, what he calls grape sap. It's like a juice or a little sap that comes out of the grapevine. The hasmadar, and completely unripe grapes, hare'elu mutarin lanazir, they're completely permitted for a nazir to ingest. She'enan loy pri v'loy pseilas pri ela min ha'etzei nechshavin. This is not the fruit. This is not waste of the fruit. This is called the tree. The grape tree doesn't say anywhere it's forbidden. It says the grapefruit. The fruit of the grape is forbidden. But the tree itself is not forbidden.
So you can eat
grape leaves, all he wants. You know those Persian, those Persian, the Persians, they always wrap the grape leaves in rice. Huh? What's it called? It's Greek? Yeah, exactly. So that he can have no problem. Halacha gimel koli surei gefen mitzdarfin zeim zeh. Usually in halacha we say that different types of prohibitions cannot combine. So if you have a half an olive-sized portion of forbidden fat and half an olive-sized portion of forbidden blood, and you eat them both together, you don't get lashes. But over here, when it comes to all the prohibitions of the vine, about the nazir, mitzdarfin zeim zeh, they can combine with each other. Ketzad, what does that mean? A Nazir would take a mixture. Take some fresh grapes, some dry grapes, some raisins, or some unripe grapes, or a seed, or a peel, and he consumes from the mixture an olive-sized portion. Leika, you get lashes. Or even if it doesn't mix them, he eats them one after another. And in total, he consumes an olive-sized portion. Leika, you get lashes. Of course, if he eats it within the time frame, what's called kedei achilat pras, the time it takes to consume half a loaf of bread, essentially, it's about 2 to 9 minutes, there are many different opinions, but the point is he eats it within a certain time frame, he gets lashes. Similarly, if you drink a revius of like 3 ounces of a mixture of wine and vinegar, like you get lashes. But the Rambam doesn't mention mixing food and drink. That would seem like you don't get lashes for. You mix different types of parts of the grapes, lashes. Wine and vinegar, lashes. But if you would mix, let's say, wine and grapes, then maybe not. The commentaries debate it. Says the Rambam halacha daled, davar hamutar eina mitztarif ledavar ha'asr benazir. Permitted substances don't combine with the things that are forbidden for a nazir. Ketzad, what would that look like? Yayin shenisarif bidvash, so you have wine mixed into honey. Afal pisha tam hakil tam yayin. Even if it all tastes like wine. V'shasa min ha'taruvas, and you drink this wine-honey mixture. Or if you would crush raisins together with figs. If you saw in this beer that I showed you, it says fig and raisin. There's like a common combination. They would take figs and raisins together. So you take figs and raisins and you crush them together. Even if it all tastes like raisins, and you ate from the mixture, you don't get lashes. Unless there would be so much wine in the mixture that of every 3 eggs of the mixture, you have an olive-sized portion of wine. Then, if you consume indeed that size of 3 eggs, so you've definitely consumed an olive-sized portion of wine, then you get lashes. Like any other prohibition for every other Jew, as we explained in the laws of forbidden foods. The point is, just a mixture doesn't make the entire mixture forbidden. So let's say people today put wine into a roast of meat, or they put grape juice into a cake. You would have to see how much grape juice or how much wine is in the food. Just because there's now a bigger mixture of food doesn't make the whole thing prohibited. Only if there's enough wine that you would consume an olive-sized portion. If you consume 3 eggs of the mixture, then it's forbidden. Halacha hey, a similar case. V'cheinim shara pitoi beyayin. See people do this sometimes. He dips his bread in wine. So, in the Talmud, there's an opinion that says once you dip your bread in wine, the whole bread becomes a forbidden entity. But the Rambam says no. V'hoya haravius yayin bichdei pras min hapas. It depends how much wine there was. If there was enough wine, that if you would eat the half a loaf of bread, you would end up consuming 3 ounces of wine, that's how much wine there was. The achal kedei pras, and you indeed ate that, what's called half a loaf of bread. Shenimtza she'achal revius yayin, which basically means you consumed a quarter of a log, or revius, about 3 ounces of wine. Then you get lashes. But less than that, no. Less than that, we don't say that the bread becomes part of the forbidden entity. This case, or similar cases, is what Torah means when it says, V'chol mishras anavim lo yishte. Anything soaked with grapes should not be eaten. It doesn't mean that if you soak bread in wine, now the whole bread becomes forbidden. It means if you soak bread in wine, and there's enough wine to be considered a revius, that's when it's forbidden. Lesser davar shenis'arev b'hayayin v'tamay ketam hayayin. It's talking about forbidding something which wine got mixed into and tastes like wine. So long as there's both the taste and the substance of the forbidden entity, as we explained in any other forbidden foods. If wine or something like that got mixed into honey, so the same case as before, but now it doesn't taste like wine. It tastes fully like honey. It's totally permitted to a nazir. We're not going to make this any stricter than any other prohibited substance. If forbidden fat falls into a massive cholent and it becomes nullified, you don't taste the fat, the whole cholent's permitted. Same thing for blood. As long as it doesn't taste like it or there's 60 times the amount, it's nullified. Here too, it's nullified. Halacha zayin haya by tam yayin. Be'ein sham revius b'chdei achilas pras. If it tastes like wine, but there isn't enough wine that you would consume a revius of wine had you eaten a half a loaf size of bread, it's forbidden rabbinically, as we said in those laws. And if you eat it, you get rabbinic lashes, but not biblical lashes. Halacha ches, nazir, if a nazir violates all of these prohibitions separately. So going into these categories, she'achal kezayis anavim, he eats an olive-sized portion of fresh grapes, or kezayis chartzon, an olive-sized portion of grape seeds, or kezayis zag, olive-sized portion of peels, or kezayis tzimukim, and an olive-sized portion of raisins, v'shasa revius yain, and he drinks a revius of wine. So no combinations. Each one on its own, he violated the prohibition. V'afilu sachat eshkel v'shasa mimenu revius. And truth is, for wine, it doesn't have to be wine. It can be grape juice. You squeezed a cluster of grapes, and you drank the juice that came out of it. Harezaleike chamesh malkiyos. You're going to get 5 sets of lashes, one for each one. Shakal echad men balav echadu, because each category is in its own prohibition. V'leike malkos shishis mishum layachal dvarei. And as a matter of fact, you're going to get a 6th set of lashes, not for nazir, but because in general with vows it says you cannot desecrate your word. You desecrated your vow, you get a set of lashes. Shu shavim b'chal anadardim. That's an equal prohibition by all vows. V'chemim achal kazayis zak, like kazayis anavim, or even if you didn't do it that extreme, you just had one olive-sized portion of grape seeds, peels, one olive-sized portion of grapes. Like Eshtayim, you get 2 lashes, achas mishum zag, ay mishum anavim, the achas mishum le'achol dvarei. One for the prohibition which you violated for the nazir, the seeds, the peels, the grapes, and one for desecrating your vow. Same thing applies to a nazir who shaves his head or becomes impure. As we're going to detail the laws very soon, same thing. Whenever you violate a nazir prohibition, you actually violate 2 prohibitions. One for the special isser prohibition of the nazir, the achas al ha'isr ashava b'chal nadarim shuli achal dvarei, and one for the prohibition which equal to all vows, the prohibition of desecrating your vow. There's one exception. One exception where a combination doesn't get you 2 sets of lashes, and that is nazir sheshasa revius yayin or revius chaymetz. If a nazir drinks both a revius of wine and a revius of vinegar, eine leike ala achas, you only get 1 set of lashes. We don't consider wine and vinegar to be separate entities. We don't hold you liable for the wine itself and for the vinegar itself, because if you look at the verse, you'll see how it works. It says in the Torah, she'ein kosov yayin lo yishte v'chaymetz lo yishte. It doesn't say wine you shouldn't drink, vinegar you shouldn't drink. That would make it 2 prohibitions. What does it say? Elakach. This is what it says. Chaymetz yayin v'chaymetz sheichar lo yishte. Vinegar of wine or vinegar of beer you shouldn't drink. Klaimar, that means to say, lo yishte yayin, v'lo davar shenis arev by hayayin, v'hu hasheichar, v'afilu hechmitzu. Don't drink wine. Don't drink beer that has wine mixed to it, even if it becomes vinegar. In other words, vinegar is an extension of wine, which it actually is, right? Vinegar is wine that turns sour. So if you think about it, the Torah is saying, don't drink wine at any stage. Not in a fresh stage or in a sour stage. But it's one prohibition. Since the Torah only doubled the word chaymetz, vinegar, vinegar of wine, vinegar of beer, so you don't get lashes for each one separately. Beer, if you would drink together, vinegar and wine, 1 set of lashes. What if a nazir was drinking wine all day long? He drinks 1 cup, 2nd cup, 3rd cup. Even though to the heavens, in other words, to Hashem, he's liable each time he consumes 3 ounces, each time he consumes a revius. For the courts, you're only going to get, bottom line, 2 sets of lashes. 1 for desecrating your vow, and 1 for drinking wine. You drank so much wine over the day, doesn't matter, we can only hold you accountable once. Except if the witnesses kept on warning you. If the witnesses kept warning you over every cup of wine or every revius that you had. They kept saying, don't drink. And after each warning, he continues drinking. He's liable for every single one, because the witnesses warned him separately. Don't drink this one. He drank it. Lashes. Don't drink that one. He drank it. Again, lashes. Midivrei Seifrim, the rabbis go even further, and they said, She'asr la-nazir lamayd b'moishav shoysei yayin. A nazir shouldn't even stand around people that are having a little wine to drink. V'yisrachek mimenu harbe. Get very far from it. Shari michshel lefanav, because that's a very big stumbling block right in front of you. Amru chachamim, the sages said, saviv lakerem lo yikrav. A nazir shouldn't even get close to a vineyard. That's how far he should stay from wine. Once you're a nazir, you don't even want to get close. It's like people that are in recovery today. They say, don't even get me close to the things that I was addicted to. Same with the nazir. That concludes the details about the prohibition of wine. Now we're moving on to the next prohibition of a nazir, the prohibition of shaving. Nazir shagilach sayra achas. If a nazir shaves even one hair, like he gets lashes, bein betar, bein bezug, whether he uses a razor or a scissor. However, when he uses a scissor, you have to cut the hair out from the root, like a razor does. Or if you pick it out with your hand. As long as you pick it out from the root, you get lashes. This prohibition applies whether you're the one who shaves the nazir's head or the nazir who gets shaved. In other words, he doesn't need to shave himself. If you help the nazir shave his head, you also get lashes. Shenemar, because it says, here's the verse which describes the prohibition. It says, Tar lo yaver al roshai. A razor shouldn't pass over his head. Not only him, anybody. Nobody can help a razor pass over his head. If you didn't cut the hair out by the root, you left a tiny bit. If there's enough of the hair that it can bend over from the top to the bottom, you don't get lashes. That is not the effect that a razor has. A razor pulls the hair out at the core. So if you didn't do that, you don't get lashes. If a nazir didn't shave his head, he simply put on some kind of like lotion that will cause the hair to fall out. It's a balding potion. And it indeed made the hair fall out. You don't get lashes. All you've done is you've canceled the positive commandment. Shenemar, because it says, Gadil pera sa'arosha, he needs to grow out the locks of his hair, and now you can't. You've put on a potion that makes you bald, so you're not allowing yourself the chance to fulfill the mitzvah. But have you violated the avera? No. The avera is tar, a razor, and you didn't put a razor. Halacha Yud Gimel, Nazir shagilach kol roshai. If a nazir shaves his whole head, that's like drinking wine all day. Yeah, you shaved many hairs, but you only get one set of lashes for shaving. But if they warned him separately for every hair, they kept saying, don't shave, and he keeps on shaving. He gets lashes for each one because here they warned him individually. A nazir, no problem, could shampoo his hair. He could even scrape his scalp with his nails. If hair falls out, no worries. First of all, he is not intending to get his hair out. He wants to clean his hair. Second, it's possible that no hair will come out at all. It's unlikely.
The average human sheds, up to 200-300 hairs.
Yeah, it's unlikely, but since it's not your intent, it's okay. But don't go combing your hair with a comb, nor should you scrape it with like a clay type of shampoo, earth. That for sure sheds the hair. But even if you did that, you don't get lashes because you didn't shave it actively. Halacha Tezvav, we move on now to the final category of becoming impure to corpses or dead bodies. So really, we're going to have a whole book, not just a section of law, a book on this. The Rambam's 10th book is all about ritual impurity and purity. But because it relates to the Nazir, so he's going to spend a couple of chapters mentioning some of the laws that are related to this. So it's important to just look on the screen for a second. You have 3 types of basic ways to become impure from a dead body. The first one is called maga, means touching. You literally touch the corpse. I don't want to put a picture of a corpse here. I put a picture of a coffin. But really, it's touching the corpse. You touch the corpse, you become impure. Second is called masa. Masa means carrying. As you see over here, none of these people are touching the corpse, but they're lifting it. So their weight is on them. That's another way to become impure. Third way is called oihel. Oihel means you're in the same room. You're not touching, you're not carrying, but you're under the same roof as dead body. You may hear about it today. They say Kohanim shouldn't go into hospitals if there's a morgue because there's dead bodies under the same roof. That's where oihel comes in. So you have maga, masa, oihel, touching, carrying, and tent. So the Rambam says like this. Now another thing is that when it comes to dead bodies, we're going to see also in the 10th book at length, there are certain ways where you become impure for 7 days, and you have to get sprinkled with the para aduma ashes twice on the 3rd day, on the 7th day. It's part of becoming pure. Other times you touch a corpse, only 1 day of impurity.
But there is no para aduma.
Huh?
So if there
Today we're all considered impure to dead bodies. We don't have this law today.
But the Kohanim can still not go in.
But Kohen, right, because that's because of a holiness thing. We don't want them to violate the holiness, yeah. So the Rambam says like this, Halacha Tezvav, Nazir shenitma lemeis tumas shiva. A Nazir who became impure to a corpse in a way that would make him impure for 7 days. Bein betuma yisru megaleach alein kameshi yizbar, whether it's an impurity which will force him to cancel his Nezirus term, make him shave and bring sacrifices, as we'll explain in chapter 7. Bein betuma she'eina megaleach alein, whether it's an impurity which won't force him to shave his head and cancel his Nezirus. Harei zaleika, he gets lashes for becoming impure. Nitma lemeis pamim harbe, same scenarios we had with the wine and the shaving. If he becomes impure to a dead body repeatedly, many times, afal pishu chayav malkos al kol achas va'achas lashamayim, even though to the heaven, to Hashem, you're liable again and again, ein beis din malkin ne'yaseh achas, the court can only give you 1 set of lashes. If they kept on warning him each time, don't become impure, and he keeps touching, then of course he gets lashes for every single time. However, when do we say that? He needs to become impure, then remove himself. And then go back and touch or carry or be in the same room as the corpse. But if you were touching a corpse, and it's still there, you're still touching the corpse, your hand's on the corpse, and then you put your other hand onto another corpse, that's not called 2 separate acts. That's only liable once. Even if witnesses warned you, don't touch that one, but it doesn't matter. As long as you're still touching the original corpse, you're what's called in a state of desecration. You're already desecrated, so you can't do it more. If you take your hand off, now you're back to your regular state, and they warn you again, don't touch it again, that would be a new violation. Halacha Yudches. Nazir shenichnas lebayis. What if a Nazir came into a home or into a building where there was no dead body, but there was a person about to die? V'shah hasham ad shemeis sham hameis, and he waits there till the person dies. Nichnas la'ayel hameis b'shida teva o migdal, or he goes into a room with a dead body, but he's in a closet, or he's in a chest, he's in a box. And his friend comes and takes off the roof or the cover of the chest with his consent. You get 2 lashes. Take a look at this. In the Torah it says 2 expressions. It says, all the days of his being a Nazir, al nefesh meis lo yavai, he shouldn't come or approach a dead body. And then it says, even his close relatives, his father, his mother, his brother, his sister, lo yitama. You shouldn't become impure. So the Rambam says in this scenario, you get lashes twice. Achas mishum lo yavai, va'achas mishum lo yitama. Once for approaching and once for becoming impure. Shaharei tuma ubiya bayin ka'achas. Because in this case, since you were in the room before the guy died, the moment he died, both things happened. You entered and you became impure to the corpse. Or the moment that your friend took off the cover of the chest, you entered the room and you became impure. Usually, you can only get lashes once. If you go in, normally there's already a corpse in the room, and you walk into the room, you already become impure before you approach the room. The moment you put in your nose or the tip of your foot, you already become impure. And yavai coming in means you got to come in fully. So usually a Nazir can never get lashes twice for violating both prohibitions unless he somehow enters the room in a state of purity, and then the impurity goes into effect, either because the person dies or because he has a chest that's covering and someone takes off the cover. If a Nazir went into a room with a dead body or into a cemetery inadvertently, he didn't realize. Then he finds out, he realizes he's in a forbidden place, and somebody warns him, hey, you shouldn't be here, you're a Nazir, get out. He didn't jump out right away. He stayed there even for a second. He gets lashes. Okay, I misspoke, not for a second. He stays there. How long do you have to stay there for? V'hu sheyishasham kedei yishtachavaya. You have to wait to the time it takes to prostrate yourself. For this, we follow the same rules as the Beis HaMikdash. Anybody who is impure cannot go into the temple. If you do, and you wait the time it takes to prostrate yourself, you get lashes. So by the Nazir also, that's the time frame that he has. Halacha Chav, hametame es ha-Nazir. If somebody goes over to a Nazir and makes him impure. Imaya Nazir mezid, if the Nazir was aware, he did it willfully, ha-Nazir like the Nazir gets lashes. The one who makes him impure simply transgresses the prohibition of putting a stumbling block before the blind. But if the Nazir was inadvertent, he didn't know, he's becoming impure. But the guy who was making him impure meant to do it, he was doing it willfully, purposely, ein echad mihem like, and nobody gets lashes. Why shouldn't the guy who's making him impure get lashes? And the Fishanemar, because it says, V'timei reish nizra. When Torah describes the Nazir becoming impure, it says, the Nazir himself makes himself impure. Which means you only get lashes if you actively, with your consent, mindfully, make yourself impure. If a Nazir was pure, a regular good Nazir, and he brings upon himself impurity, besides for getting lashes for becoming impure, besides for getting lashes for desecrating his vow, you also get lashes for delaying your sacrifices. Because you've delayed your pure term of Nezirus to later by doing a deed, and so you're delaying a promise to bring a sacrifice. Similarly, if you made a vow to become a Nazir in a cemetery, you get lashes for delaying your vow, because you're not going to be able to start until you go out of the cemetery. From this you can learn, in summary, if a Nazir makes himself impure, he'll get lashes 4 times. Mishum lo yitama, becomes impure, umishum lo yachal dvarei, desecrating his vow, umishum lo ta'achar l'shalmei, delaying his vow, umishum lo yavai, and he can also get potentially a 4th lashes for coming into a room with a dead body, im hoisa bia v'tuma ka'achas kamesha me'arnu, if the entry and the impurity came at once, as we explained, where he walks in before the guy died, or he walks in with a chest, and the guy takes off the roof of the chest. Otherwise, you simply get 3 lashes for becoming impure.